Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hello Meet Wisdom. This is chapter 3 of the introduction to Jubilees. I'm going to be reading you chapter 3. This is the fall of man. Okay, so it pretty much happened exactly the way our Bible says, with a little variations in it, because there's still some things that was missing from even this chapter that I think we needed to know that's not in our King James Bible. So to give everybody a synopsis, okay, in chapter 2 I talked about creation, and creation was talking about how the angels were created, and they were given positions over everything, like the sun, the moon, the stars, the fire, the wind. God appointed the angels all positions, even including over men and over the animals and things like that, right? And so that is a part of our story in our King James Version or New International Versions or whatever that we don't have, that's in Jubilees. And back in the introduction of Jubilees, I kind of just gave you a synopsis of the relationship between the Israelites and God. God wanted to show himself to the Israelites. There was a point where they feared him. They feared him so much that they didn't want to have a conversation with him. They rather talk to Moses. But then fast forward to chapter 32 in Exodus, and they're ready to melt all of their gold into a calf to, worship a false god. And I was basically saying that, God was telling Moses in Jubilees that he already knew the hearts of the people, of Israel. Coming out of Egypt, they developed this mindset of the Egyptians. So they were of what we would call a reprobate mind. They, God knew that they wasn't going to be the generation that ended up going into the promised land, because of their thinking, and because of the ways that and because of how they adopted the ways of the Egyptian. And they, even after they saw God do like miracle signs and wonders, he parted the Red Sea for them, he defeated armies and all kind of things for them, right? And so the Lord knew that this people he delivered, out of Egypt, wasn't going to make it into the promised land. But the reason why he saved them from Pharaoh and delivered them out of Egypt is because of the covenant that he had with Abraham. He had a covenant with Abraham where he told Abraham, he made a promise to Abraham that his seed would be as numerous as the sand, on a beach, or, as numerous as the stars in the sky, right? Okay, and so now, starting off, not leaving off. I'm going to be reading chapter 3 to you guys, and this is the creation of Adam and Eve and the fall, from when Satan comes into, well, it's not Satan. The reason why I say it's not Satan is because if y'all read in the book of Enoch, you'll find out that it was actually an angel named Gadriel that decided that he was going to seduce Eve. So y'all, Satan been getting blamed. Lucifer been getting blamed for some stuff that he probably ain't even did. It's other angels at play here. So let me get my old trustees, and I'm going to start in chapter 3. I'm going to start in chapter 3, and I'm going to read the whole chapter. So y'all just bear with me, because this teaching, and I'm slowing down a whole lot, because I know that like in chapter 1 and 2, I probably kind of made a couple of mistakes. But I'm human. So this time I want to make sure that I convey everything clearly to you guys and make sure that I'm speaking, what needs to be said. So starting in Jubilees chapter 3, it says, and on the 6th day of the week we brought, this is okay. So when he says we, In Jubilees, it wasn't just God talking to Moses, it was the angel of presence. The angel of presence was there with God and Moses as a witness, okay? And this is something that our Bible doesn't tell us either. So he says, and on the 6 days of the second week, we brought according to the word of God to Adam all the beasts and all the cattle and all the birds and everything that moves on the earth and everything that moves in the water according to their kinds and according to their types. The beasts of the beasts on the first day, the cattle on the second, the birds on the third, and all that moves on the earth on the fourth day, and that which moves in the water on the fifth day. And Adam named them all by their respective names, and as he called them, so was their names. And on these days 5, Adam saw all these male and female according to every kind that was on earth, but he was alone and found no helpmate for him. And the Lord said to us, it is not good that man should be alone. Let us make a helpmeet for him. And the Lord our God caused a deep sleep to fall on him, and he slept. And he took for the woman, one rib from among his ribs, and this rib was the origin of the woman from among his ribs. And he built up the flesh and in its stead and built the woman. Yeah, that's what it says. And he built up the flesh in its stead and built the woman. Verse 6 says, and he awoke Adam out of his sleep, and on awakening he rose on the 6th day, and he brought her to him, and he knew her and said to her, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. When they said he knew her, Adam and Eve had apparently, did the do. Okay, so he said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken from man. Therefore, a man and wife will be one. And therefore, a man will leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. They will become one flesh. In the first week, Adam was created, and the rib, his wife, in the second week. He showed her to him, and for this reason the command was given to keep in their defilement for a male 7 days, and for him into the Garden of Eden till and keep it. But they brought his wife in on the 8th day, and after this she entered into the Garden of Eden. And for this reason the command is written on the heavenly tablets in regard to her that gives birth. If she bears a male, she will remain in her uncleanness for 7 days according to the first week of days. And 33 days she will remain in her blood of her purifying, and she will not touch any hallowed thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until she accomplishes these days which are prescribed in the case of a male child. But in the case of a female child, she will remain in her uncleanness 2 weeks of days according to the first 2 weeks, and 66 days in her blood of purification. And they will be in all 80 days. And she had completed these 80 days. We brought her into the Garden of Eden, for it is holier than all the earth, besides every tree that is planted in it is holy. Therefore, there was ordained regarding her who bears a male or female child the statute of those days that she should not touch any hallowed thing or enter the sanctuary until these days for the male or female child are accomplished. It says, in the first week of the first jubilees, Adam and his wife were in the Garden of Eden for 7 years, tilling it and keeping it. And we gave him work, and we instructed him to do everything that is suitable for tillage. And he tilled the garden and was naked and did not know it and was not ashamed. And he protected the garden from the birds and the beasts and the cattle, and gathered its fruit and ate, and put aside the residue for himself and his wife. And after the completion of the seventh month, the serpent, no, after the completion of the 7 years, which he had completed, their 7 years exactly, and in the second month, on the seventh day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman. And the serpent said to the woman, God has commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of every tree in the garden. And she said to it, of all the fruits of trees in the garden, God said to us, eat, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said to us, you shall not eat, neither shall you touch, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die, for God knows that the day that you eat thereof, your eyes will be open, and you will be as gods, and you will know good and evil. And the woman saw the tree, that it was agreeable and pleasant to the eye, and that its fruit was good for food. He ate, and her eyes were opened, and he saw that she saw that she was naked. And he took fig leaves. Oh, she gave it to Adam. I'm sorry, I didn't skip the whole line, y'all. Forgive me. It says she saw that it was good for food, and she took thereof and ate. And when she had first covered her shame with fig leaves, she gave thereof to Adam, and he ate, and his eyes were open, and he saw that he was naked. And he took fig leaves and sewed them together and made an apron for himself and covered his shame. And God cursed the serpent and was angry with it forever. And he was angry with the woman because she listened to the voice of the serpent and ate. And he said to her, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your pains. In the sorrow you will bring out children, and your return will be to your husband or wife. Yeah, it says, or man. Sorry, y'all, where I'm at, I got lost. It says your return will be to your husband. So he basically saying that she will have a desire for her husband. Then it says, and he will rule over you. And he also said to Adam, because you have listened to the voice of the wife and have eaten the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat thereof, the ground is cursed for your sake. It will bring out thorns and thistles to you, and you will eat your bread in the sweat of your face until you return to earth from where you were taken from. For earth you are, and to earth you will return. And he made coats of skin for them and clothed them and sent them out of the Garden of Eden. And on that day which Adam went out from the garden, he offered a sweet savor in offering of frankincense, galbanum, and stacy, and spices in the morning with the rising sun from the day when he covered his shame. And on that day, the mouth of all the beasts and cattle, of birds and whatever walks and whatever moves was closed, so that they could no longer speak, for they had all spoken with one another with one lip and one tongue. And he sent out of the Garden of Eden all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to its kind and according to its type, to the places which the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to its. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm reading up. I got lost. It says, let me start over. It says, and he sent out the Garden of Eden, all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to its kind and according to its types, to the places which had been created for them. And the man alone did he give to cover his shame of all the beasts and all the cattle. On this account, it is prescribed on the heavenly tablets as touching all those who know the judgment of the law, that they should cover their shame and should not uncover themselves as nations uncover themselves. And on the new moon of the 4th month, Adam and his wife went out from the Garden of Eden, and they dwelt in the land of Elda, in the land of their creation. And Adam called the name of his wife Eve. And they had no son until the first Jubilee, and after this he knew her. Now he tilled the land as he had been instructed in the Garden of Eden. Okay, y'all, I know that I done messed up a couple times because I got lost. But y'all got to see how this is. Like, y'all see how there's no separation. So there's like a whole bunch. It just runs on. And sometimes if I don't follow it with my finger, or I can end up reading the line more than once. It's just a straight thing. So here we have in chapter 3 the fall of man, right? Because at one point, everything was good until the serpent approached Eve, right? And here is why it wasn't strange for Eve to talk to a snake, is because all of the animals could talk. That was so interesting to me when I read that, because it said they all spoke with one tongue and one language, with one tongue and one lip. That means that the animals was able to communicate with Adam, and they were able to communicate with Eve. So it wasn't strange for a snake to come and approach Eve and have a conversation with her, because all the animals could talk. And then what was so interesting for me is to know that after Adam and Eve got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, all the animals got kicked out with them. So when Adam and Eve sinned, all the animals and the birds and everything, they all had to leave the Garden of Eden too. And then they had to spread out, in different parts of, the world according to its kind. So that was really interesting for me to find out here in Jubilees. But I'm going to be getting into the book of Enoch, you guys, and I'm going to be teaching y'all about some of the things that I read in the book of Enoch, which is really, really good, y'all. And it's important that we know these truths, you know what I'm saying? Because, a lot of us, I know when years ago, when I first found out that, Eve got tempted to eat the fruit, I'm like, well, why was she talking to a snake anyway? Who would be talking to a snake? But back then, we didn't know that. Well, what I just read now, that all the animals could talk, and that it was normal for, her to talk to animals, because all the animals could talk. So now it's like, okay, now you have that important piece of information that the animals were able to talk at that time, and so it wasn't strange for her to talk to a serpent. But the Bible did say that the serpent was the most cleverest out of all of them, right? And so but when you get into the book of Enoch, you'll find out that it wasn't Lucifer, it wasn't Satan, it was an angel named Gadriel, which decided that he was going to seduce Eve into eating the fruit. And also, too, we're going to learn which type of fruit it is, because for years it's been stuck in everybody's head that they think that it is an apple. But in truth, if you read the scripture, it gives you a description of what type of fruit this actually was. And I will be getting into that in the next segment of this, because like I said, I do not like to make this too long. I just want to give y'all the pivotal information that y'all really need, and to encourage y'all to go and get this book. Y'all need this. Y'all need the complete Ethiopian Bible. It has all the missing Bibles in it. I mean, the next story that I want to give y'all too, is some stories in here. My favorite book of the Bible I found now is like Tobit. I love Tobit. It is proof that God does bring relationships together. So when I go into the book of Tobit with y'all and read the story of how God brought two people together for a marriage, y'all gonna be like, okay, God does have a say in my love life. God does have a say in who he want me to be with. Okay? All right, you guys, this is it. That was it. That's all. I love you all with the love of Christ, and I will be back soon as the Lord allows me. stay tuned in to these teachings, you guys, because it's going to be pretty interesting to learn things that's not in our actual King James Bible. All right, guys. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.